Good evening, everyone. We would love to start on time. You guys okay with that? So this is interesting. We thought back to last year. Last year at this time, this was completely virtual. So we were kind of wondering how many people would show up face-to-face, how many people are watching online because we're streaming it as well. But welcome to you online. Welcome to you who are in here. My name is Jamie Leering. I have had the blessing of serving at KML as a principal for the last 7 years. Absolutely love my time here, love the time here for my kids as well. So tonight what we're going to be doing is it's basically about a 45-minute presentation. And then after that, if any of you want to stick around, have any questions for us, you can certainly share those questions. I've seen some people in the crowd who maybe this is their last kid coming through KML. Thanks for coming back. I see some of you who I don't recognize so well, so I assume you're coming with your first kid at KML. I remember sitting in that position 2 years ago, and my son was a freshman, standing up here, but sitting in the position of having a kid go to high school for the first time and thinking how weird that felt. So I'm sure you're feeling that a little bit today too. Our goal tonight is simply to share information with you to make sure that you understand students, the transition to high school a little bit. My guess is you'll remember about a quarter, maybe a tenth of what I say today, but it'll be there for when we come back to it later on in the beginning of the school year. Parents, we also want you to know who do you come to if you have questions, because some of you are coming from a school where my guess is you typically just go to the secretary, ask her a bunch of questions, she takes care of it, talks to the right people, and it's done. Here it's a little bit more complicated than that because we're a little bit bigger, but we want to make sure that you feel comfortable knowing who you go to for what. So first of all, just thank you. We know that you have many choices as far as where you would send your kids for high school. We consider it a blessing to us that so many people choose to send their kids here. Right now we have about 125 students who are registered for the freshman class. Our enrollment will be somewhere around 525 students next year. But we don't take for granted the fact that you've chosen here. And we want to make sure that this is an excellent partnership between us and you. We don't believe we take your place as parents. We believe that we're here to support your work with a Christian education where you know that the values that you teach at home are being reinforced here every single day at KML. I don't know what that was. A couple things I want to point out just from a big picture standpoint. We have a vision statement, a Christ-guided success path for all, and I share that for you because we know that students come with so many different gifts and so many different abilities. No gifts and no abilities are better than any other. We're here to make sure that students find their success path. God has given them those gifts. God wants them to use those gifts in some way. We're here to help them kind of figure out what that path is for them. Students, that means we encourage you to just get involved in a lot of different things so you can figure out what you enjoy and what you might find joy in for work for your future as well. Our values guide us. Truth, we do everything standing on the Word of God. We believe in its absolute truth. We believe in the victory that Christ has won for us. And that's a blessing to be able to share that every single day here at KML as well. We believe in together. We are the KML family. We believe that teachers are not here to lord it over children. We don't believe that it's us against students, and I think if you ask the students who have been here for a long time or graduated, they see us as a family and a chance to work together and support one another. We want to see your kids succeed. We want to see you end high school and be ready for that next step, whether it be work, college, military, technical ed school, whatever you want to do, we want to make sure that you're ready. And finally, tomorrow we continue to grow and improve, find different ways, listening to feedback from our seniors who are leaving, listening to our parents, find ways that we can continue to add programs, do things that will really make our kids successful once they leave KML. Our mission, we educate, encourage, and equip God's people for life and for eternity. And those words, educate, that's the academic side. Encourage, we believe this is a calling, not a job. We have an opportunity each day to mentor and lead the kids that come to our school. And then finally, equip. We want to make sure you're ready with your gifts for your future. A couple other statements that maybe you've not seen before. We go through a pretty extensive strategic planning process where we look forward to the future and we just ask questions about who are we and what makes us special. And our niche is something really, maybe seemingly small, but it's really big to us. We believe that we're an awesome culture of Christian love, and you'll hear the word KML family over and over and over and over again. When people come to visit our school who have never been here before and they walk around during the school day or a student shadows, often the first thing they say is, man, people are really nice around here. And that means the students, that's the teachers, that's the staff, that's the janitors, that's everyone. We believe that we are a loving Christian family. And we have to work to continue to behave in that way so that we can support everybody who comes here. And finally, our guarantee, high expectations with extreme levels of support. There was a time in the history of high schools where, in Christian high schools, I'd say private high schools, where what that meant was if you're really gifted academically, everything's going to be smooth and you're going to make it through just fine. But if you're not, you might not make it. We don't believe in that philosophy. We believe in holding the same expectations for all of our students who come to us, but we also believe strongly in finding every possible way that we can to support our students. Sometimes that's academic help. Our Learning Center is also a huge blessing. When I just did the numbers today for something else, and in 2014, we had about 25 students who got support in our Learning Center every day. As of this year, we're up to 153 students who cycle through that Learning Center every day to get support academically. Sometimes it's emotional support, sometimes it's spiritual support. We're also super excited. Next year, for the first time in our history, we're going to have a full-time counselor who will be here on-site. Licensed counselor will be here to be able to support kids at any time. We've had a program, but this will make it even better to support our kids moving forward. You might be wondering, what's school going to look like? By golly, it's going to be normal, I tell you. That's our goal. It's pretty normal around here today, so I was just telling somebody, it's kind of been a shot of energy at the end of the school year. Usually by this time, everybody's a little bit worn down, but our kids don't seem worn down right now. I want them to be a little more worn down, but there's just a lot of excitement because things have normalized over time. We look at our COVID numbers here. We haven't had a case since early January, so we've shifted some of our protocols. Masks are optional, but we have a lot of kids who do wear masks, and we support them and allow them to do that and make sure that there's respect among everybody else. But we plan to be normal, face-to-face. We believe that is our best mode of education for our students, and we've seen that. Next, we have a couple of current freshmen. Come on up, guys. Jake Albrecht, come on, and Olivia Heuser. This is the first time I've ever had two freshmen come in and speak, and they're both taller than me. So there's no guarantee that your kids will turn out this tall. But they were sitting in your seats about a year ago, wondering what their freshman year was going to be like. So they're going to spend a little bit of time talking to you, especially students, about what you can expect and also what maybe not to worry about so much. So I'll pass it on to you guys.
Okay, hello, my name's Jake. So, opening your locker, many of you guys probably think, oh, lockers, but really it's not that bad. A lot of the upperclassmen really help you to get along, and at Kettle here we have a program called Mentors, so basically sophomores, juniors, and seniors, any of them can volunteer to be a mentor, and every single freshman gets one of them. And so on freshman orientation, they take you around, they go through your schedule, help you open your locker, and they're really a nice thing to have.
So the next difference from switching from grade school to high school is that you have to change classrooms every class you have, and the classrooms can be all over the school. So you have 4 minutes of passing between each of the classes to get to your next class. And the first week of school, you might get lost a few times, but the teachers are really understanding and will help you find the classrooms, and sometimes upperclassmen can help as well.
For this one, I especially encourage all you guys to try new things and go out of your comfort zone, because you might try something and you could love it and like, wow, I'm glad I did this. And you make tons new friends when you do that, and there are a lot of things besides sports. If you don't like sports, there are clubs, choir, and a lot more.
Another big thing for starting high school is getting organized as soon as you start school. One of the good reasons you should get organized is because if you're in the middle of a class, then you can just make sure you have all of your stuff and you won't have to ask a teacher to go back. And it would be really helpful to have a big notebook or folder binder to help you keep all of your assignments organized so you get them all done on time.
The teachers are not as scary as you would think they are. They're really nice and encouraging. They help you through a lot, and they help you grow as a student and as a Christian. And when you guys come from middle school, you guys probably have 1 to 2 teachers. But here at KML, you get 7 to 8 teachers. So there's a lot more different personality and what you can work with.
For those of you who are planning to go out for a fall sport, which I would highly recommend, sometimes you can meet a lot of your friends even before the school year starts. And I didn't know some of the people on my freshman volleyball team, but when open gym started in like July and August, I started to become really close friends with some of them. And a lot of them are my best friends like right now. And even if sports isn't your thing, you can always like try out for a club or go into choir or band, because you can still meet a lot of really amazing people through those.
Well, for me, the homework is not a lot. What helps me a lot is that I do not procrastinate. I get it done. A good tip is as soon as a teacher gives you something, write it down and then do it when you get home, so then you don't have to be worrying about it or you don't have to forget it. And going to what Principal Laring was talking about, the Learning Center, if you feel like you need some help, you could go in there and they could help you out with your homework and other things. That's it.
Thanks, guys. Well done. Thank you. All joking aside, there is a lot of nervousness, whether a new freshman will admit it day one, or how they will express it, or what they will say to their friends. But there is nervousness that comes with going to a new school, and we just try really hard in the beginning to be out in the hallways helping folks. There's always 5 kids at least who struggle with their locker for about a week, and we help them out every day, and everything works out smoothly. So a couple different things when it comes to high school, and they kind of mentioned this. You're going to have more diverse classes, kind of go deeper into each of them throughout the day, but that also means you're going to have different teachers with different styles. That's a good thing. I guarantee you, students, there are some teachers you may enjoy more than others. Hopefully you'll respect them all and understand their respect for you. But it's going to be different as you go across, and we think that's a good way of learning for your future, because at some point you're going to work with coworkers who are very different and bosses who are very different. So getting to learn and figure that out, you may come home and say, Mr. Ziemer, I don't even know what he's talking about for homework. I don't even know what he's saying. I don't know what to do, right? It won't be Mr. Ziemer, but it might be. And parent, your response to that is simple. Hey, did you talk to Mr. Ziemer? He's a pretty nice guy. I bet you if you ask him what's going on, he'll help you out. So working with teachers in that way is really important. Also, you have more choices, especially as you get a little bit further along. You have elective classes where you can decide, do I like some more like physical education classes? Do I want to do foods class? Do I want more of the music classes? Do I want to do some engineering things? You can make those decisions, which is kind of exciting as a high schooler as well. That first line, this is definitely a time of change. I want to focus on the fact that kids are moving in 4 short years from being very dependent on their parents to independent. The goal, kids, is by the time you're a senior that you're ready to go out into, again, wherever the Lord has placed you, and you're ready to do that with very minimal support from your parents. Parents, I'm also here to tell you that different kids pace through that at different levels. Some of you have kids who are super responsible and they're ready to go, and they might be ready to go off on their own as freshmen. Others, it's going to be 2 days after graduation we get there. And that's okay, because different kids grow at different levels. But make sure that you're helping them to do that. I think as parents, we sometimes like to swoop in and maybe help our kids too much. Let them struggle a little bit, because life is full of struggle, and let us work with them and help us to work through their challenges as well. Schoolwork-wise, Jake so eloquently said he doesn't have a whole lot of homework. Sounds like he's a guy who's pretty on top of it. Depending on how much of a struggle your homework is for you, you may have more. I do know you're going to have more probably to keep track of. And I'd say organization skills is a challenge for some of our students, just keeping straight what's due when. A good old-fashioned assignment notebook goes a long way. If you want to use a Google Calendar or something like that, that works too, but make sure you're organized in that way. A lot of your classes, too, we do 21st century skills, a lot of communication, a lot of collaboration with your classmates, creativity, critical thinking. So it's not just, if I memorize everything, will I get an A+? It's memorizing, but then applying that information. That's so critical as you get older. There are long-term projects, organizing, planning ahead. In high school, one thing that I have to explain to students sometimes lovingly is an F matters. A 0 in the grade book really hurts. In grade school, I don't know if I should tell you this, but in grade school, sometimes you can fail classes and it doesn't really matter, right? So those of you who have done that before, like I failed a class in 7th grade, then I just moved to 8th grade, and I failed a class. Now I'm in high school. This is great, right? In high school, it's a little bit different. If you fail a class, that means you have to take that class over, and that means you're doubling up on classes, and then you have less electives. So making sure you take every class seriously is really important. Being here matters. It's really hard to replicate what happens in a classroom and the discussions and the learning at home. So making sure that you show up on time, that you're here. If you're absent, you find out the work that you need to do. Again, I told you 0 hurts a little bit too. Organization I talked about a little bit. Parents, this is something in the beginning as you move your kids into independence that you can work with them and help them with. I know with I guess I only have one high school kid, so I'm calling them out, but as a freshman, he kind of struggled with what's due when. And then we kept asking, are you writing things down? Yes. Where are you writing it down? Who knows? It's some piece of paper randomly in his locker. I don't really know where it is, right? So helping to get that organization system really helps you to move forward in high school. Communication-wise, students, we want you to talk to your teachers first. And I'll be honest, we're blessed with just an amazing parent group. Very rarely do we have a parent like blow one of us up on email or something. A lot of times our students will come talk to us if they're having a challenge, or a parent will say, hey, my kid's having an issue in your class. And our teachers will say, hey, have your kid talk to us. Let's figure this out. But kids, you got to figure out how to be your own advocate and start having those conversations with teachers and asking questions when you need to. They care and they want to help. Parents, sharing concerns will always take them. I don't know, I get a handful of concerns or questions a week in my inbox. 99% of them are really kind parents just saying, hey, Mr. Leary, we're wondering about this, help us understand this, and I get them kind of to the right place. It's okay for you to share your concerns. We just ask you to do that with us as a part of our family. Our main mode of communication is Power School. So one of the things I don't always love about high school compared to grade school is we don't interact with parents a whole lot. You know, kids eventually are driving themselves. They're coming in the morning. They're getting dropped off. We don't see parents a lot. The way we communicate grades is through Power School. We work with our teachers. We try to encourage them to keep their grades up to date. So if you see something, you or your student can reach out to that teacher as well. Website has a lot. If you're ever wondering something about KML, just Google KMLHS and then sports, and then it'll go to that page. You can kind of find those different pieces on our website as well. Students, if you do not check email regularly, that's something we're going to teach you to learn. Because we have a lot of communication that goes out via email from your teachers, etc. So if you're not someone who's used to doing that, we're going to encourage you to do that when you get here as well. And then finally, parents, there's a student handbook online. We ask you to take some time, look through that, understand the rules so you can reinforce those with your children as well. Many different options for athletics and activities, as we said before. Find ways to get involved. We try to have a whole plethora. There was just a sweet ping pong tournament here yesterday, which a lot of kids participated in. We have robotics, we have athletics, we have music, we have all kinds of different options. Get involved, do something. This is your chance to kind of try things out and see, again, how the Lord has gifted you and what you enjoy. There are many to choose from. The majority of our students do participate. We'd love for it to be 100%. We always give, and this isn't a condescending piece, but beware of specialization. Our encouragement is that kids who enjoy multiple sports, play multiple sports, be in multiple activities. We have kids who are in football and echoes at the same time. We encourage that. It is a challenge scheduling sometimes, but our teachers and our activity leaders work together. We want our kids to do a bunch of things as long as they can. Opportunity to meet new friends. just a little reminder, if you miss a period of the day, then you can't participate after school unless there's a couple reasons where it's okay, but if you're sick, then you can't do that. And then finally, there's Tryout Information. It'll come along in the summer. You'll see a lot of that coming towards you where you can find out what you need to do for tryouts. I kind of kept this on there. Again, we send this out to you afterwards, so you'll get this by email, so if you have questions, you can go through it. But if you're going to be in athletics, there's certain paperwork that you have to fill out, you have to have done before you start as a high school student, before you even practice. Just a reminder, you can go to our KMLHS.org/camps, tons of different athletic and activity camps that go on in the summer. Encourage you to be a part of those. Come enjoy. That's where it starts. I know for me, when I was in high school, I went to Fox Valley Lutheran back in the day, and a lot of my very closest friends were guys I met in football the summer before, who none of them went to my same grade school. Just got to know them, and we kind of connected, and that was a beautiful thing. There are going to be new pressures. Again, we're blessed with an amazing group of kids. We don't have near the issues or the challenges I think that most high schools do, and as a principal, I really enjoy that. But there are times where kids make bad choices. As I sat and talked to the seniors about graduation this year, I explained, like at the end of the year, sometimes seniors get a little bit squirrely. And when one senior is sitting by himself or herself, everything's good. But you get 2 or 3 together, and then one of those people has an idea that's really not a good idea, that person needs their buddy to say, that's not a good idea. Let's not do that. So we're looking for positive influence rather than negative, and each of us has the opportunity as Christian men, women, young leaders to be able to do that. Social media. Do you have enough speeches about social media? My only encouragement, parents, is lovingly, if you don't check your kids' social media, and I think what that looks like, I think one of the best ways is, hey, let me look at your next 5 Snapchats together. Let's look at them together. None of you are sweating too bad, so that's good. Our encouragement is just be engaged in that. There's a lot of stuff out there, and I think students can be trusted in a lot of good ways. There's a lot of positives to social media, but it can also go awry. And students, just remember, if you put it out there, there's a 95% chance it comes to us. It's amazing how people come say, hey, I'm concerned about this kid because they posted this, and how do we deal with that? So keep that in mind as well. There will be conflicts. Expect more conflicts. Life is full of conflict, but learning how to work through difficulties, work through friendship issues together, a supportive environment we think is really important as well. Priorities. This is the way we kind of rank them. Faith life is always number 1. Your connection to Jesus, your engagement with Him, your worship life, always number 1. Family comes second. I hope that you, even though you're in high school, you have time to spend with your family and you find those special times, that gift of a family that you have. Then academics. That's why we're a school. Activities and clubs come next. And then there's work. I'm always amazed because sometimes there are students, and they just love to work, and that's fine, but ultimately they want to work so bad and work so much that they don't take care of their academics. And the conversation we have to have is, hey, if you keep working this much, you're probably not going to make it through graduation, and that's not a good thing. So keeping an eye on all those different priorities, just reminders of that, because the high school life is pretty hectic. There's a lot of things going on, a lot of things to balance all the time. Next, I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Josh Shanik, who is in charge of our student services, just to talk about some of the nuts and bolts things about being a freshman.
Thank you, Mr. Leering. My name is Joshua Shanik. I've been privileged to teach here at Kettle for finishing my 24th year. I have 5 kids. 3 of them have already graduated from Kettle, and the youngest one is up there doing some videography stuff as a freshman. Student services is the area that I'm in charge of, and it's really my job there to help your child succeed while they're here at KML. In order to do that, I work with a group of people who is the student services team. Mr. Zemer, you've probably met. I'm sure all of you kids have seen Mr. Zemer before. He is the guy in charge of getting you in the door here as freshmen. So his job is to find us wonderful young men and women like you to come and be part of the KML experience. As you go through your freshman year, you'll get a chance to talk with him a little bit more. He'll come and meet with you a couple of times as you begin the year to make sure everything is going well. But then he'll probably start to fade out of your experience here as he goes and reaches out to the next group of kids that he's going to bring in. While you're here at KML as a student for 4 years, I'm somebody that you will be working with a little bit more because I'm the guy who helps you select courses and keeps track of all your grades. So every time you get a report card that gets sent home, I'm the guy who's in charge of that. So I'm always trying to make sure that you are doing well in school and making choices that are appropriate for you to succeed while you're here. The next guy is Mr. Waltz. While you're here at Kettle, you'll start to meet with him on occasion. You'll have more meetings with him as a junior and a lot of meetings with him as a senior. So his job is to help you figure out what you want to do in life and then help you to get on the path to succeed in doing that when you leave KML. So the three of us kind of take care of the life cycle of you as a student here at Kettle. Our assistant, Mrs. Martin, is somebody that many of you will communicate with over the years. She's somebody that you can contact if you need transcripts or other kinds of records. She assists the three of us in doing the work that we do. So there's Mr. Zemer, kind of a summary of the things that he does, myself, and Mr. Waltz. Here are the requirements that you need to achieve to graduate from KML. And so at its core, part of my job is to make sure that you meet these requirements at a bare minimum. 4 years of Word of God, 4 years of English, 3 years of math, 3 years of science, 3 years of social studies, 1.5 years of PE, a year of computer, a year of fine arts, 3.5 years of electives, which is your choice of anything you want to take here at Kettle. That adds up to 24. I will tell you that most kids graduate from Kettle with at least 28 credits. It's usually not a big deal for you to meet all of these requirements. It's just that gives you a good selection of what kinds of classes you'll be taking while you're in high school. Course selection process, you have already started part of this process. So all of you have probably already received from me at least once a list of, hey, here's what you're signed up for next year. There are some courses that require placement testing. Some of you have already completed some of those things. If you are signed up for a class that's on that list and you haven't done a placement test yet, please make sure you take care of that. I know the math ones haven't taken place yet. If you don't take a placement test, what will happen is I will just move you down into the class below the class that you asked to take. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. Otherwise, there's information on our website too at the link there. Changes. So your schedule isn't set in stone. So if 3 weeks from now you decide, hey, I signed up for Spanish and I really want to take German instead, just call me on the phone, send me an email and say, hey, I want to make that switch. It's no problem. We'll take care of that for you. I prefer that you make changes by the end of April. But there's no limitation on that. You can make changes all the way up until the 4th day of the semester. Course schedules will be sent out to you in June. So right now you have what I call a course selection. You have, hey, these are the courses that I want to take. Sometime in June, probably late June, you will get a list of, hey, these are the courses that you are going to be taking each period of the day. So you'll get a list, period 1, I'm in this class, this is the teacher, this is the classroom that it's going to be in. Period 2, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. When you see that, you say, oh, I didn't really want to be in PE first hour. Sorry. Somebody's got to be in PE first hour. Don't ask me to switch if you see a teacher on there and you said, oh, I really wanted this other teacher. Sorry, we have to make this work for everybody. And so that's one of the things that we don't do is we don't take requests to make those kind of switches. If you are interested in voice, piano, organ, or other instrument lessons, those are not classes that you can take, but we do offer those during the course of the school day. If you'd like to do that, there will be more information in the packets that come out to you later this summer. Grade scale is there. This may be different than what you are used to in grade school. It may be exactly the same as what you have in your grade school, but we work on a 70% grade scale, so you have to have 70% or more in a class To pass, anything below that is an F. Students, you may or may not be familiar with the term GPA, grade point average, right now, but it is something that you will learn a lot more about in high school. It's the average score that you're getting in all of your classes. An A is a 4, an F is a 0. And so if you've ever heard about a 4.0 GPA, that means you're getting all A's in all your classes. GPA becomes important because a lot of colleges, when you apply to them, want to know about your GPA, and they may offer you admission or certain scholarships depending on how high or how low your GPA is. Here's just an idea of what a typical KML graduate looks like. So our students get average ACT scores that are above the Wisconsin average. You can see we have a breakdown of most of our kids go on to a four-year college or university, but we do have a goodly number of them that end up in a technical college or serve in the military or go directly to the workforce. There is a component of your work here as a student that will involve doing some volunteer service hours. So you may even want to think about that as you go through this summer. If you have opportunities to do things as a volunteer, we'll start to collect that information from you when you start off as a freshman. About 45% of our students have taken an AP course. So AP stands for Advanced Placement. These are courses that you have the option at the end of them that you can pay a fee and take a nationally recognized test, which may help you out when you get into college. 74% of our seniors have taken an honors course, and about 37% are involved in band or choir. So we have a pretty amazing music program here that you could be a part of. Graduation goals, that's kind of a recap there. College, university, technical college, military, workforce, career. As you're here at KML, we do have a program that we use called Zello. I'm not sure exactly why it has that funny name, but it is a program that is used to help you determine what your interests are, where they are, and what might be a good fit for you after you graduate from high school. Mr. Waltz is kind of the guy in charge of that. He'll help you work through that, and that'll give you a better idea of what you should maybe be aiming at as you work your way through high school. A high school transcript, another term you'll hear a lot as you go through your high school years. This is your official 4-year report card. And so your official transcript changes only at the end of each semester. It also gives your grades and credits for each course by the semester. So really, from a transcript point of view, the only grade that counts is the grade that you get at the end of a semester of a course. It shows your cumulative GPA, that number I just talked about before, and it will show your ACT test scores. So if you haven't heard about the ACT is a big test that you take. It takes a couple hours to take. As a junior, we give it to all of our juniors here at KML. You're actually allowed to take it multiple times, so if you want to take it again, you can do it on a Saturday. I just helped proctor that test last Saturday for a bunch of kids. The score on your ACT test can also play a part in scholarship and college acceptance and financial aid awards. Your transcript begins your freshman year. And so this is an encouragement that even as a freshman, you don't want to goof off, work hard, try and get good grades. Even though it may not seem like it now, it's going to be important for you to have those 4 years from now. And then the registration process. So I get questions about this on occasion. What do I need to do next? So you have all probably completed step 1, course selection. Some of you did that at a registration night in December. Some of you have done that since then. And there's some placement testing, which I mentioned before. Some of that's done already. Some of that you still have to do. Billing setup. You should have received an email from me in the last 2 weeks. If you did not and you didn't hear anything about Smart Tuition, either contact us or let me know afterwards. I'll pass you the information. Smart Tuition is the program that we use to bill all of our tuition and fees. So regardless of whether you have a choice voucher or whether you're paying full tuition, you still need to set up an account in Smart Tuition so that we can bill you for any fees that you have to pay. That process we ask you to get set up now by the beginning of May, because there is a 12-month payment option. And if you want to use the 12-month payment option, you need to be ready to start going on that right away in June. Step 3 is to complete your paperwork. So you will get in the mail some actual pieces of paper that you have to fill out if you want to be involved in any athletics. There will also be immunization forms in there, similar to what you filled out for grade school before. But we do need to receive those back into our office. And then you'll review your course schedule, so that'll be sent to you in June. You'll get your course schedule. Hey, this is exactly what you're taking. Again, at that point, if you say, oh, this isn't right, I didn't want to do this, or you change your mind, just let us know and we'll make those adjustments for you. So I'm going to now turn it back over to Mr. Leering to kind of wrap things up.
Thanks, Mr. Shanik. So a couple things for parents. I think sometimes parents think, hey, my kid's going to high school now, and it's kind of the opposite end of the spectrum where they're kind of off on their own and they need to figure it all out themselves. They need a little bit more guidance most of the time than that. So some things that can help is communicating with other parents about parties or get-togethers, working together on that. And again, that's not because we all have terrible children. It's just that we need to help keep some guidelines and some curbs for them to help them make good decisions. Discussing appropriate dating, very worthwhile conversations. We talk about some of those things during our Word of God classes, but important conversations for parents and kids. We ask you, even if you're frustrated with Mr. Leering, if you would not say that in front of your students, and you would just say that to me, and we figure out a way to work through that, that's super helpful. So speaking positively, trusting that if your child comes home with some issue, know that we want to solve that issue just as much as you do. We want to work together with you. Help kids, as Mr. Shanik said, know that resume building starts right away in the beginning of freshman year. So you're building that resume for job, mentorship, college, all those things afterwards. There will be disappointments. One of the things in high school, and it's not in every sport, but there are cuts, and there's always some level of disappointment at those different points of time. There are times where a student doesn't get the role in the drama that they wanted and they thought they deserved it. So just making those disappointments into a little bit more of a learning experience is what we try to do, because disappointments are a part of this world. We want to help kids to be able to learn how to manage through those during this time. Counseling, I'll talk about that again in a little bit as well. We do a mental health pre-screening for every single freshman student. We have to get your okay to do that in the beginning of the school year. But basically, they take a test on a computer, and a counselor from Christian Family Solutions takes a look at those results and meets with every single student and actually calls every single parent of those students. They look for things that there might be some flags or some challenges that we can proactively get ahead of to be able to help a child succeed who might be having some mental health challenges. So more of that will be coming. It's voluntary parental consent. We've done it. This will be, I believe, our third year. It's been really well received because it's just kind of a checkpoint for our kids. We also have something called the Christian Family Solutions Member Assistant Program. So again, we have a counselor here full-time next year. That's a little bit different because typically if someone needed mental health services, they would come talk to Pastor Hughes, and he would then send them through an intake program to Christian Family Solutions where our students, our staff, get 5 free sessions with Christian Family Solutions before it would start hitting insurance or something like that. So we still have that opportunity. The difference is we'll have a counselor here to be able to deal with the smaller things throughout the day as well. So that's always a well-used program. There are a lot of students who have really been encouraged and helped through their high school career through our partnership with Christian Family Solutions. A typical day, get here somewhere between 7:15, 7:35. First class at 7:40. Then we have a couple of classes. Then we have chapel in here for 14 minutes every single day. A different kind of rotation. Sometimes we have homeroom. Some schools, I realize, have homeroom every day. We don't do that. We have homeroom schedules probably about 20 times during the school year. Then you might have lunch A or you might have lunch B. You can't switch classes to switch your lunch either, if you were wondering that. Then we have a 5th period, 6th period, short break, 7th and 8th, and at 2:45 we're praying and head down. So it's kind of a basic schedule for you. Where do you go for help? Go to the source. If you're having a challenge with your class, talk to your teacher. They care. Schedule, Mr. Shanek, activity, the leader of that activity, the website, handbook, calendar, all those things are available for you. Here are some other folks that might be helpful. You may have seen we're kind of adjusting our structure a little bit at KML, and one of my office ladies today said, well, who's going to be in charge of me? And I said, we would know how this really works. You're really in charge of all of us, and we know how that is. So these ladies who are in the front office, if you are wondering anything and you don't know who to go to and all of this is confusing, just call the phone number and say, Dawn, who do I go to for this? And she will gladly, with a smile, help you out. Fiscal office, our financial folks, Bob Heider and Jody Hansen. Athletics, that's Mr. Griefkes, Mrs. Nass, and Mrs. Zach. They help out with different pieces with activities. Student life is a little bit of a shift next year, and we'll talk more about that at orientation, but we don't have our counselor who that is yet, but we have our counselor. Pastor Hughes is kind of shifting into a campus pastor spiritual role. In the past, Pastor Hughes did discipline and culture and spiritual guidance. That works, but it kind of doesn't. It's a challenge sometimes, like you're disciplining a kid. Do they really want to go to the pastor and get spiritual guidance? Not so much all the time. So we're really excited to be able to split those. And then Mr. Albrecht's going to be our director of student culture, which means he's in charge of proactive culture building within our school, character development, and then also just all the discipline challenges that may occur throughout the year. Learning Center, this is Mrs. Krause. If you or parents of your child have any learning difficulties or challenges that you want us to get ahead of a little bit, Mrs. Krause meets with, I think it's usually 40 to 50 parents during the summer in preparation for the school year of different grade levels, and she's always willing to do that. Our Learning Center is for kids with IEPs all the way to kids who just struggle with organization, and we can help them out. So that's an opportunity and a help for you. Technology-wise, we do have a bring your own Chromebook policy, so you'll bring it. People always ask, which is the best one to get? Mr. Shanek, every time I ask him that question, says, doesn't really matter. We do have a purchase program if you want to purchase them through us, and you'll see that there, and you'll get this again in your link. We recommend a protective case just to help it not break, but we don't have too many challenges with that. You'll get an email account. Also, there is a calculator need for math as well there. So these are just kind of there as reminders as you look forward. This is on here too, transportation. We do have busing both from the Germantown area and West Bend School District, and you'll see a phone number there that you can call once we get a little bit closer for help there. We do have a van that runs to the west. If you are interested or need a transportation help there, Mr. Zemer can help you with that. Also, if you're not coming from one of those areas and you just have some issues with how do I get my kid to school and I have some transportation challenges, Mr. Zemer helps a lot with carpools. Like we can pull up who lives near somebody and get people in contact with one another to work that out. So don't be afraid to ask if that's a need for you. Immunizations will be sent out. You're used to that from the grade school life as well, but that's a part of the high school life too. Finances, tuition is there. Tuition assistance deadline is passed. Choice deadline is passed. Choice program notification typically happens at the end of May or early June, so people have signed up for school choice. All your application is in. We've never had somebody not make it who has applied because we have hit the caps, and that's a long discussion, but that cap keeps growing, so we're pretty confident that people who applied for that will get that voucher as well. But if you applied for that, I'm sure you'll be nervous until you get that email on that day. And when you do, make sure you reach out to us and tell us you accept it, and we'll send something to you as well, because we have to do that accounting work. Other important dates, and you'll get these as we go by too. We have new athlete parent meeting, student orientation, so freshman students on that day, you'll come and do some fun things with your classmates as your parents are in here. You'll get to go around and see classes. This date is a really good date to come and allow freshmen to walk their schedules a little bit, get used to where they're going, so they feel good on that first day. We have our school pictures on the first day, so get ready for that. My favorite is throughout the school year, our pictures stay out as we do attendance for Power School, and to see how a freshman student changes from day one of freshman year even to the end of freshman year is pretty amazing. There's a lot of different folks, but again, this will be a resource for you that you have if you're wondering who to contact for what. Finally, again, thank you so much for choosing KML. We are super excited for this new year, the class of 2025. Man, I didn't ever think I'd say the class of 2025. That feels kind of crazy to say it. But again, we appreciate the partnership that we have with you. We're excited to serve in the gospel ministry together. Christ permeates through everything we do here, and we're glad to support your family in that way. If you have any questions after this, you're welcome to stick around and ask. I'll be here. Mr. Zemer is here. Mr. Moller's in the back. Mr. Shanek. We can answer those questions. Or if you leave and you're like, I don't even know what they talked about, I don't remember this part, always feel free to reach out. But again, thank you for choosing us, and I pray you look forward to August, because it's going to come pretty quickly. We'll be into the new school year, and kids, you'll all be freshmen in high school, so it'll be something good to look forward to. Blessings on your night. That's all we got. Thank you.